Sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things, and today I'm going to be giving you my March wrap-up. Unlike most of my wrap-ups, it's actually the 30th of the month, so tomorrow is the last day of March, so I'm actually giving you these stats pretty true to what is actually happening. I think I'm going to read one more book, and I'm reading 2 arcs that I may or may not finish by tomorrow. We'll see. So those things won't be applied here. So yeah, let's get this show on the road and talk about some of the books that I read this month. I'm going to start with the statistics of the books first. March was a really, really good month. I think it was because I was packing so much and listening to books while packing. I do want to give a disclaimer that that's why there's no background. This is the last sit-down video that I will be filming in the house. I'll be filming one more, and it's the Vampire Academy books review, but yeah, this is it. This is the last one. So let's talk about statistics, shall we? I read 61 books this month. I read 20,322 pages. I listened to 436 books. I read 40 audiobooks, 17 ebooks, and 4 physical books. Now, I do want to say, disclaim, that a lot of the time with the audiobooks, I also have the ebook, and I switch between reading the audiobook or listening to the audiobook and reading the ebook. So that's where those page numbers and hours numbers comes from. I do know that sometimes that doesn't make sense. So just to give you an explanation of that, if I am primarily listening to it, then I'm going to mark it as an audiobook. But if I am primarily reading it, then I'm going to mark it as an ebook. Or if I only have it as an ebook, then I'll do that. My average rating for this month was a 3.8. The Cawpile thing has been really interesting in how it's changing my average rating month over month. It is more all over the place instead of a consistent like between 4 and 4.5, but it is more realistic to how I genuinely felt about the books. So I was giving 5-star ratings to like everything, and now I am more likely to give a 4-star rating than a 5-star rating, and even still more likely to give a 3-star rating than a 5-star rating. So I think that it's causing my ratings to be more honest, and is also allowing me to not feel so bad for not rating a book super highly if I didn't enjoy it. Next up is genres and intended audience stats. So I read 30 fantasy books, 25 books with LGBTQ plus characters, 12 horrors, 9 sci-fi, 5 retellings, 4 thrillers, 1 contemporary, 1 historical, and 1 dystopian. I read 33 young adult books, 25 adult books, and 3 middle grade books. I think next month I'm going to be reading way more middle grade. When it comes to author diversity, I read 48 cisgendered authors, 39 white authors, 25 disabled authors, 25 queer authors, 13 non-binary authors or gender fluid, genderqueer, etc., 14 people of color, 10 neurodiverse, and 11 authors were debut books. Now for my personal favorite part of the wrap up, my top 5 books of the month, as well as the arcs that I recommend for you. So 3 top non-arcs and then 2 arcs that I recommend, and then my worst book of the month. So the number 1 best book that I read this month was, I was going to say year, maybe, is Middle Game by Seanan Mcguire. I have been seeing the hype for this for a really long time and have been wanting to read it and have not gotten my hands on it. It is what I would personally classify as whimsical horror, which is not a genre, but I would call it that. Seanan Mcguire does an amazing job with the way that she writes horror from this curious point of view almost, and if you liked the way that Night Circus or what is Erin Morgenstern's other book? The other Erin Morgenstern book. If you liked those books and how things didn't necessarily make sense or timelines seemed weird or that kind of thing, but you want horror, then Middle Game is the book for you. The next one is Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. This is a middle grade book about Amari and her going to this magical school, and her brother's been missing, but is he dead? Nobody knows. And it was just a really fun book. I enjoyed it a lot. I would read it again. I may actually read it again as a comfort read. I found the narration in the audiobook really soothing. The story was really fun, and I am really excited to read the rest of the series. The next non-arc is going to actually be almost the entire Wayward Children series by Seanan Mcguire. I did not like the last one in the series because it was about like a horse girl and that kind of thing, and that's not my personal vibe. But for everything else, I loved those books. They are very, I don't know if this is like a universal experience with book readers or not, if you read books as a child, but for me, there were some books that I read that just made me feel weird and like I shouldn't be in this world, and like, I don't know, like a series of unfortunate events kind of gave you that energy of like, life is just weird and should be more magical and whatever. And Wayward Children is that, but for an older audience and with horror aspects, which I really, really enjoyed. They're also short little novellas. None of them are very, very long, and the entire concept of it was amazing. I loved these books, and I'm really, really glad that I read them. I have been recommending them to everyone, and to be honest, it may be something that I listen to when I run out of audiobooks or whatever, just to pass the time. Those books are on Scribd, so if you have a Scribd subscription or you want a Scribd subscription, you can click the link down below for a free 2 months or whatever. Obviously it helps me out too, but they're on Scribd. I highly recommend them. They're very good. For the 2 arcs that I recommend, the first one is going to be The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. I am obsessed with this book. First off, Caitlin's prose is really, really beautiful and fantastic to read. I don't know how else to explain that. Especially as a non-visual person, sometimes flowery, lush prose doesn't do it for me because I have no visualizations, but also sometimes overusing metaphors or similes is frustrating for me and I hate it. Caitlin does lush writing while avoiding those 2 things, in my opinion. The thing that I like so much about Caitlin's horror is that it's very suspenseful and you're nervous pretty much the whole time. She still has peaks and rises in the story. I hate a thriller where you're on the edge of your seat the whole time and then the peak happens at the very end, and then then the book's over. The Death of Jane Lawrence has a lot of those peaks and rises and feels really good to read. Basically, it's about Jane Lawrence, who marries this doctor because it's a business transaction as far as she's concerned, but he has this house that's really weird and probably haunted, and she sees dead people now, and he sees dead people, and he's haunted, and there's magic, and it's like a lot. And it's really fucked up. It was really fucked up, but I loved it so, so much. I am hoping that there's a sequel. We will see, but I loved it so much, and I love Caitlin's writing. We also read The Luminous Dead for the Queer Book Cruise Book of the Month this past month, and so reading 2 Caitlin Starling books in 1 month was perfect for me. The next arc that I'm going to recommend is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. This was an arc that I was sent a physical copy of. I don't have it with me because I'm in the middle of a move. I'll put the cover, like I do with everything, I'll put the cover here. If you liked Circe or the other Madeline Miller book, which I didn't love, Song of Achilles? The Something of Achilles? Anyway, if you liked Circe specifically, and you've read Circe, you'll remember that she talks about her sister Pasiphae, and Pasiphae is the mother of the Minotaur, etc. If you know that myth, then you know that the Minotaur is slain by the dude from Athens, and it's because one of Pasiphae's daughters helps him do that. Ariadne is that daughter, and she has her own story to tell. What I liked about Ariadne was that it addresses the fact that so often in Greek lore, and a lot of lore from way back when, women tend to be punished for the actions of men. Medusa is a fantastic example of that. Pasiphae is even a fantastic example of that. Her husband upset the gods, and so she got punished for it and had to fuck a cow. Pasiphae didn't really do anything, so that's whack. It addresses that concept. It also addresses the power dynamic between humans and gods, and when they enter romantic relationships and how it seems really healthy but then kind of isn't healthy. I really enjoyed it because of how much I love Circe. It's one of my favorite all-time books. I can't wait to own the print copy of Ariadne. I mean, like, I have a copy of the physical book, but it's not the, you know what I mean, the publicated copy, to put next to Circe, just because I loved it so much, and Greek lore is something that I enjoy so much. So that book comes out May 4th. When it comes to The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling, that book comes out October 19th. That is my partner's birthday. So that's when that book comes out. So I generally don't review ARCs that early in advance, but I was really excited, and Art had been screaming at me about the book for ages, and so I was like, ah, and read it immediately. And it was amazing. So both of these books were really good, and I highly recommend that you pre-order them, check them out, that kind of thing. I will be on the blog tour for Ariadne on May 10th, so if you want to look at my blog for that, I will obviously be tweeting about it and stuff, but yeah. Anyway, the worst book that I read this month. So this was not the worst book I was going to be talking about until I read it yesterday, and I was like, no, I have to change all of my notes. And that's going to be The Shadow in the Glass by J.J. Harwood. Harwood. I'll put the cover here. This was an ARC. I rated it 1.5 stars, and it is a Cinderella retelling. I somehow didn't register that it was a Cinderella retelling at all until I was rereading the summary, and Art called me an idiot, which is fair. That's fair. Ella basically was living this wonderful, great life. Then her the like lady who's been taking care of her died, and the man who runs the household is a terrible predator and everything, and Ella became a maid. That sucks. Ella feels bad for the maids that are being preyed upon, but does nothing for them, does nothing to help them out at all. And she hides in this library thing and finds this person, this lady, witch, demon, we don't know. Nobody tells us who she is ever at any point. You never really find out who she is. And she's like, I'll give you 7 wishes in exchange for your soul. And Ella, who has spent the entire time complaining about her life, is like, cool, I won't use up 7 wishes at all. Okay, cool. You know, what I would wish for, should I be put in that circumstance, is, you know, I wish that the owner of this house would no longer prey on anyone and would learn from his mistakes and become a better person. That would be my wish, but you know, if I did that, then the book would be over. Ella wishes for shoes, so that's a really good start to her limited amount of wishes. And I feel like that in of itself should just tell you how frustrating this book was. The main character acts like she cares about other people, but then never makes any wishes to display that. She's selfish and greedy and only wants what's best for her, and even then fails to make any wishes that would both benefit herself and the people involved. It was awful. I'm really glad the audiobook is already out in the UK because I was able to listen to it instead of physically reading it, because I'm pretty sure if I was reading it with my eyeballs I would have DNF'd it at like 30% whenever she wished for shoes. I think I would have been like, no, I don't want to read this anymore. No thank you, I'm done. Okay, thanks, bye. So yeah, that's my wrap up for March. I will see you guys in April with my April wrap up. I do have my April TBR. It's actually going up today, March 30th, so that's really exciting. And this is one of the last videos I will be filming in the house. So next time I see you guys in my next wrap up, I will not be sitting in this spot. I was gonna say not be sitting in this chair, but I will be sitting in this chair. It's a brand new chair. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Leave a comment down below if you've read any of these books, or if you want to read any of these books, or if you would wish for shoes or not. What would you wish for if given the opportunity? Let me know. I want to know. If you didn't enjoy this video, you could tell me why. That would be super cool. If it's just because of me as a person, understandable. I have to live with me though, so great. Thank you so much for watching. I will check back with you guys on Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time or Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for watching. Okay, thanks. Bye!